Hello, my loves. I wanted to share with you some lessons, some learnings that I've had in the last week. Well, actually, it's been happening since the last new moon around self-love and the shadow aspects of ourselves. So the wounded, hurt, vulnerable sides of ourselves, the inner child, the parts of us that potentially we believe are holding us back, the parts of us that we believe potentially we need to change to be more like other people or in order to have the things that we want. So I'm talking about shadow sides of ourselves, the parts that we'd rather not have, perhaps, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, and the parts of us that we deny, and we deny in sharing them with ourselves, and perhaps also, probably more likely, sharing them also with other people. I'm not talking about anything big, like some big, flawed personality that you have. We all have aspects of ourselves, whether we think we're too emotional, too sensitive. These are things that I've been looking at, too wounded, not doing enough, not smart enough, not thin enough, not active enough, and when we say, oh, I'm not, say, active enough, or I haven't figured out my purpose, for example, what we're saying is there's a part of me that's holding me back. There's something wrong with me because I haven't figured it out yet. And if I was better, faster, and a higher dimensional version of myself, then I wouldn't be in this limbo land. So in that language, when we struggle against the fact that we don't like something about ourselves or like our current situation, like not knowing what to do, we're resisting that experience, but we're also judging and shaming that version of us that just needs to have that expression, that aspect of ourself that needs to be like, I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to do this, but I don't know what I would do instead. All of that worry, that panic, that insecurity, that uncertainty, that lack of control, they're all shadow aspects. They're all emotional experiences that we have as humans, that we came here to experience. And I, for one, on this path of self-love and healing, understanding who I am and accepting it, I'm still finding, it's being revealed to me, where I still judge or limit or separate myself from my shadow sides. And that isn't the answer. So this video is going to talk a bit about what I've been learning and putting into practice. And it's still live for me, but that's partly why I want to share, because if there's emotions, but the energy is live, and that's what I'm here to model. That I don't have to have the answers. I don't have to have, it wrapped up in a bow and a package and to deliver you as this neat lesson. I get to just show up while I'm figuring it out and share that that's a valid part of the process. So I don't know if you're like me. I assume that we are. That there are aspects of me that I think are holding me back. And I've written about this, I spoke about it before, about how when I fell, stumbled into a spiritual awakening and spiritual healing journey, my operating mechanism was I needed to heal myself and fix myself through spiritual practices. That's how I would become more peaceful. That's how I would open up my spiritual gifts and my spiritual purpose. That's how I would be more of service to you. That's how I would have a life with more ease. It was if I eradicated the parts of me that aren't in alignment with ease, joy, connection, all the things my heart desires. So I had made up the story that I was the block to that, and that the parts of me that are wounded from experiences in this lifetime and potentially past lives, that's not an area of expertise for me, but also ancestral DNA. So ancestral patterns, I've witnessed that quite markedly in my life. and felt it as physical energy. Okay, so I was a victim to those experiences, to those wounds, to those stories, to those aspects of myself, and they needed healing, they needed erasing in order for me then to have a life that wouldn't be hindered by them. And what I learned a few years ago, that that's not the right approach, that I was still playing this tape of I'll be good enough when, I'll be good enough when I can meditate for 30 minutes uninterrupted. I'll be good enough when I'm talking more clearly to guides, spirit guides, higher self. I will be good enough when I don't doubt. I'll be good enough when I'm not afraid. I'll be good enough when I'm not single. I'll be good enough, And I was using spiritual practices as another way to be like, I'll be good enough when. And when I first realised I was doing that, and this was back in May 2019, it was this huge revelation and horrifying revelation that I had been doing all this stuff, showing up on my mat, doing yoga every day to be a good yogi, to be a good teacher, therefore. And I was like, I'm still trying to perfect my stuff. I'm still trying to improve upon myself because I don't love and accept and trust myself when I'm doing good things, when I'm doing bad things, when I'm doing nothing at all. I can't just be at peace with myself. There's something I've always got to be doing, something I've got to improve upon, something that I've got to be achieving, making other people like me. And this is what I'm beginning to understand is, for me, spiritual connection to the divine is a connection to love. It's to a greater energy of love. And I felt it as an energetic experience, and it feels like love. It felt like quite sexual love, which was surprising, but that's Kundalini energy. Okay, and when I was tapped in, I was like, this is just vast. It felt like a vast ocean of love, and it was intense because I've never felt that level of love in a human experience, and now I realize I'm scared to be that open to let those experiences in, because you've got to be a vibration to match it. You've got to know that you're worth it. So I had this flash of realizing that spiritual connection, the energy of it, the essence of it is love. And that's why self-love is the spiritual path that I'm on, and it is the most potent healing energy to tap into, because when you love yourself first and foremost, you're ultimately then open to receiving more love in from all sources. But you have to know that you're worthy. You have to know that you're worthy of love. You have to know that you're worthy to receive it. And the only way we can heal those cracks, is to contain love, keep healing the cracks by knowing that we're worth, and then holding and receiving more and more. And what happens is sometimes, a crack's going to burst because we haven't done enough awareness or just holding space for the pressure that's around that wound. So I'm going to give you some specifics because I think it's needed, because these things can be quite conceptual. I have an abandonment wound. I have a rejection wound from my biological father leaving me at the age of 3. And I then have had lots of other examples in my life with men where they have left me, where they've not been trusted, where they've not been safe. So that abandonment wound has been triggered in a romantic sense, but also in a professional sense, in a friendship sense. It's there, okay? And I've known about this forever, particularly at the start of my spiritual experience in 2015. Like, I embarked on quite an empowering and forgiveness and acceptance path towards my biological father, which has been changing energetic experiences. But what I hadn't been doing was integrating that part of me that carries the wounds from that experience. So there's a concept that I've talked about before in these videos, is that you can only move forward as fast as the slowest part of you. And the example I want to illustrate is, if you were a china vase and you've got cracks, there's that Japanese art, and I don't know the name of it, where when they use gold to glue pieces of a broken vase or whatever back together, and it's a work of art, and they're adding value to a piece of an ornament that in normal society is trashed, is a waste, but they bring it back together, they rebuild it, and they line it with gold, because it's the cracks and those patterns and those original unique features that make that vase unique. Okay, now if you've got, we are that vase, okay, that's the analogy that I'm using. So we are aware of some of our cracks, maybe some are bigger, some are smaller, maybe some are covered in gold, maybe some are a bit still open, maybe we haven't put enough gold around, the edges. But we are a unique, vulnerable, fragile vase, okay? And we do not put that vase on a fast wash in the dishwasher, okay? If we do, we might want to do it. We might be attracted to it because we don't have to take the time and energy to care for it, to wash it carefully. We might like the result of it going through the fast spin on the dishwasher because nothing gets it that shiny, even if you do it by yourself. But every time you put that fragile vase in an environment that isn't good for it because it's too vulnerable or not, it's just not a right fit. But every time you keep putting it in the dishwasher, you are putting more and more pressure on the cracks in that vase, because you're not accepting its vulnerability, you're not accepting its fragility, you're not accepting and giving it the TLC, the time, love and care that it needs from you. You're wishing it was a vase you could just put in the dishwasher on a fast spin and not have to worry about it. That when we treat ourselves like that, when we try and have experiences that aren't fully comfortable for our makeup based on what's happened to us in the past, but we want them and we think, well, I'm nearly there, it's 99% fun, but there's this 1% crack that's still trying to get my attention. We have to honor the slowest part of us. We have to honor and work to the slowest, most vulnerable part of us. Otherwise, that's not acting in alignment, it's not acting in integrity, and it's not acting with love. And when I was sharing this concept with someone, I was, comparing myself to the fact that if I was the mother of a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old, and we were going out for a walk, I'm a hiker, so we're like scrambling around rocks and hills and whatever, okay? But if I was doing that with a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old, I have to, as a caring, aware adult, take responsibility for the needs of the 12-year-old and the needs of the 2-year-old. And actually, I need to be working to the level of the 2-year-old, because it's the 2-year-old that's struggling to keep up pace with the 12-year-old and the adult me. It's the 2-year-old that's got, wants to be playing in rock pools and catching crabs. That they don't want what I want, which is the adrenaline of climbing up a high peak and the view. They want to dawdle. They want to take their time. They've got small legs. They can't go as far. They can't go as far as fast. So we always have to be working to the lowest common denominator of ourselves. And for me, what I was doing is because, and the thing is this isn't to judge anything that we do, because dishwashers are great. It's great to have the high octane experience of this is fast, fun, and I get a great result and I love the adrenaline. But if that vase is buckling under the pressure, there will be a spin cycle that you put it on and it will break. So this isn't, again, to judge it when we do that, because this is what I've been doing, is I've been engaging in an emotional and romantic experience, which is great fun. And it has taught me so much. It's kind of been a kind of open arrangement for years. And because of my rejection wound, because of my abandonment wound, because men always leave me, which is a story, okay, I have been like, wow, like, I have cultivated this relationship of trust here. I have cultivated this trust in an open type relationship. That is something that I pat myself on the back for, because it shows how willing I've been to release, it must be a relationship, to limit the noise of the stories that the relationship or the experience has triggered in the past, because versions of me in the last few years have handled this situation differently. So I've always done work and awareness of it, because this is what spiritual awareness or awakening is about. It's about taking responsibility. It's getting to know what type of vase you are and where your cracks are. And like I'm saying, I've been engaging in, the dishwasher settings when this quiet part of me at the bottom of the vase is hating every minute of it, is crying out. So when there was an external event that triggered this realization, and I take responsibility for my feelings and my emotions. This is not the other party's responsibility. This has nothing to do with them. They haven't behaved badly or unfairly. What happened is something happened, and the wound, the abandonment wound, that crack in me, that 2-year-old in me, was so upset and hurt because it was like I put it through the dishwasher one too many times, and that crack gave in. And when I felt the emotion of that pain, and when I was doing the work around it, I wasn't crying because I'd been let down or been triggered by an engagement with a man. Men always leave me. It wasn't that was triggering it, because I'm aware of the story. It was the fact that I had abandoned me. It's the fact that I had been letting myself down. It's the fact that I hadn't been honouring this part of me. And I'd been making it go through the spin cycles in the dishwasher for years and not acknowledging that is who I am. And I'm not suitable for the dishwasher. I need a slow soak in the sink. And that's where I am right now. And that's okay. And just because other vases can go in the dishwasher doesn't mean I'm meant for that. Because this is another thing we do. We compare ourselves, or we say, oh, well, if so-and-so can do this, why can't I? But you have to honour your unique flaws in the vase that you are. And you have to gild them with gold and protect them and love them, because that is the trick of self-love. When we fully embrace our uniqueness and our shadow selves, the cracks and the gold, and then we say, this is who I am, this is, because the shadow parts of me are showing me what I actually need. It's a gift. It's saying, I don't feel safe in this environment. I don't feel safe in the dishwasher. I don't feel loved in the dishwasher. I don't feel satisfied in the dishwasher. This isn't good enough for me. It can be great and it gets great shiny results on your pots and pans, but that vase isn't having the experience that it needs. So when we pretend we don't have these unique vulnerabilities or wounds, and we just try and bypass them, or, as I said before, think, well, 99% of me likes the dishwasher, you ignore that 1%. That is a denial of yourself. That is failing to love yourself. That is failing to accept yourself. And it's also failing to overlook the gift of that. I was saying to a friend when I had this realization, I was like, I hate this. I hate being this version of me that can't go in the dishwasher. Don't want to be this version of me. And it was on reflection of that conversation where I realized, well, then I'm not accepting who I am. And I can't see that the reason I have these wounds and these vulnerabilities is to transcend them. And if I hadn't had an abandonment wound, if I hadn't had the experiences I've had in my life through relationships, through, parental or otherwise, I wouldn't have gone on this deep inner soul inquiry to find out what love is. And that's what brings me back to what I started with. Self-love is an act of divine love. And we can only attract the right experience when we honour what we are, and therefore what experience we truly need. And there are going to be distractions and opportunities to go in dishwashers, to have a wax cycle, to have a cold rinse, to have a long soak in the sink. There's always going to be all these options, because we're all different and we all need different things. But if you don't know what setting you need to treat yourself on, if you don't understand the cracks and the nuances of your vase, then you can't discern whether the experience is the right one for you, and you can't step into it as an act of love. And we've really got to watch our belief systems here, that we think, well, the dishwasher is the only thing that's available to me. I feel comfortable in the dishwasher because I've been on it so many times. We have to trust that love is an abundant energy, and that our cracks are saying there's a different and better and more loving experience waiting for you. But I need you to stop putting me in the dishwasher. I need you to honour me, and then set, your intentions and not welcome in anything that doesn't match up. Don't cling, don't grasp at straws. You know, as this was happening to me, I heard, I don't know if it was Laurie Ladd or Feel Good, but they had a video, and it's like, in a romantic relationship, if it's causing you pain, then it isn't the right romantic relationship for you. And it doesn't mean that life isn't challenging, doesn't have struggles, but if you have put yourself in a situation that triggers time and time and again a wound you have, then you're choosing that and you have to take responsibility for it. So for me, something I've always known, for someone with an abandonment wound, having an open relationship is not going to tend to all of those needs that I have for connection, for fulfillment, for security, for love. And yes, there are many things that are there in that experience that are good. But if I'm being honest and want to give myself the most loving experience I can because I believe I deserve it, then I need to stop, be honest about what I need, which is security, which is stability, which is a safe container within which to explore intimacy and with myself and with someone else, to have emotional experiences, and that be okay. I need that container to be with someone who can hold it, not with the dishwasher, but with the soapy hot bowl of water in the sink. And I have to believe that just because that sink's not been filled and those bubbles aren't ready for me, I have to believe and trust that it will be. And I don't keep running it through the spin cycle and dishwasher whilst I wait for it to appear. You've got, because I'm harming myself. I'm harming that vase. Because it isn't the specific loving vibration experience that is out there for me, that is available for me. But I have to know that I'm worth it, and I then have to choose it. And you can't choose it if you're still self-harming with other experiences that you choose along the way. So I'm not going to talk much more about it. I hope that gives you some food for thought, because this can apply in any sense of your life, professional, friendships, relationships, just in terms of how you are navigating your own self, how kind and aware you are of your inner child wounds, of your wounds that make you part of you. They make you you. They are part of you. You are that beautiful, beautiful vase full of cracks, and that's your unique expression. But we don't plaster over the cracks and pretend they didn't happen. We don't, because just, I said I wasn't going to go on, but this has just come to me. You know, if in that, I want to say macrame, is that what it's called anyway? But in that Japanese art of sticking pieces of vase back together with gold around the cracks, the whole art and purpose of that would be lost if we just glued it all back together and plastered over it, so it looked like it never had any of those cracks. That's not what we're here to do. The spiritual self-healing journey isn't to paper over the cracks. It's to embrace them. It's to embellish them. It's to honor them, and to know that then a vibrational match for the specific love, the specific medicine that you need will come to meet that once you are happy with saying, yeah, I've got wounds. I need certain things in order to feel safe and be who I truly am. And whilst the dishwasher is a great opportunity, I'm going to say no, because I honor my worth with all my cracks. And it's hard to do. It's the hardest act of self-love, because I've been on this path for a long time, and it hit me, you know, how much I was sort of masking, even calling it the wounded part of me. There's judgment in that for me. Oh, it's the wounded part of me. It's the bit holding me back. It's the bit I don't like. It's the bit I don't see. It is a bit of me that's crying out for the right kind of love and attention, for more love and attention. And it's also doing that because it's trying to get me into alignment with a different type of experience, rather than acting out of a trauma wound, rather than acting in thinking, it's good enough, it'll do. So that's why our wounds speak up. It's not because they're trying to hold us back. It's not that they're punishing us for not doing enough healing work. It's actually because it's trying to say, you're a unique vase, you're a unique fit, and you need to embrace me and hold space for me, and then we can attract in the match for that, whether it's house, job, partner, whatever it is that's live for you. Okay? Honor your wounds, love them, don't disown them, don't plaster over them. These are special parts of you that you came here in this lifetime to experience. As painful as that is, they've made you who you are. You know, I am resilient, I am strong, I am more loving. As I say, I went on a spiritual path because I wasn't finding satisfaction through romantic love. And that was one of the big drivers, as well as, you know, health and breakdown in career. You know, it was a big thing for me. But I was feeling deprived and starved of love because I definitely didn't love myself. So I embarked on finding love from God, and I was still trying to make myself worthy of that love from God, rather than saying, I'm a special human being, I'm an aspect of God, and I love myself from the inside out. I love all of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the cracked, the flawed. I love all of it, because that's what I came here to experience. And there's another just trick to this. Because I follow astrology, I'm interested in the puzzle piece that I am. So I believe, this is my belief system current, that as souls, we choose the exact time to be born. We choose the people and the family and the ancestral DNA to inherit, and we choose the planetary alignments. So I'm a Taurus sun, I'm a Cancer moon, and I'm a Gemini rising. And there's all the other planetary aspects, but and there are higher vibrational frequencies and lower vibrational frequencies and attributes to each of the planets, to where they fall in the houses, blah blah blah. It is such a unique blueprint because everybody's different, and I chose to have those specific influences. They're not restrictions, they're influences. I chose to have specific experiences, including abandonment wound from my father. I chose that because I chose to be born to that family with that narrative. I chose it, and I chose it to transcend it, to learn the lessons of love through it. So whilst when I was 3 years old, I interpreted the story that I wasn't good enough, that I must be bad, and that's why men leave me, I get to say to myself in every day and every choice I make, I love you. You are worthy of love. You are good enough. You are good. And it's through working on that, it's through healing that I transcend it. And it's because I had that wound to transcend that I do this work at all. So our wounds are our catalysts for growth, for experience in this lifetime. And we can't have the blessings, you know, my psychic abilities, my empathetic healing, it comes from the placements in the 12th house. I chose to have those activated. They're, to me, what I see as the plus points of my sensitivities, you know, of my intuitive gifts. But I had to then have the consequences of, if that planet's going to be in that house, that one's going to be over there. And there's going to be a wound or a catalyst, because that's what we all came here to learn from. It's how to evolve and grow through and with love, how to return to love time and time and again. And it isn't through learning to love anybody else. It is through learning and finally accepting that you have to love yourself through it all, with it all, however you are right now. That is what love is. That's what being is. That's what we came here to do, is to return to love. And the only way we can do that is to return to loving ourselves first and foremost. And you can do that in any way you want. It doesn't have to be through meditation. Whatever brings you love and acceptance of yourself, but where you are denouncing, denying, withdrawing from parts of yourself, dragging it through a spin cycle and dishwasher, because that's the version of you that you want to be, that isn't acting in love. That isn't acting with compassion and kindness. That's making your 2-year-old climb a mountain because you and the 12-year-old can do it. So treat yourself with love, but honor the lowest, slowest vibration of you. It is frustrating, but that's where the work is. That's where the rub is. That's where the gift is to allow that part of you to slow you down enough so that you can say, what do I really want? What do I, as a holistic being, really need? And then you get to call it in. But you've got to listen to that part of yourself. Otherwise, you're not calling in what's really going to set you free to love. All right, my dears, with love, thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves.